Hey everyone, I hope you've had a great day so far and that you're doing well. For this video we'll be continuing through our unbagging of the Combat Patrol magazine series with issue number 15 and Combat Patrol as for the Warhammer 40,000 setting. So I've just recently had my next batch of issues come in as part of my subscription, as well as a bonus item which I will cover in a later video at some point in time. It may even get its own dedicated video. I have to think about it. But yeah, anyway, issue number 15 is here, so getting straight into it. And yeah, so front of the cover, issue number 15, back to some Tyranids. That's either a warrior, I think it's a warrior. I was going to say a Ravener, but I'm pretty sure that is a warrior. In terms of the model included with this issue, we will get a single Psychphage, and then naturally there'll probably be some more information regarding the Psychphage, how to paint, how to build, datasheet, etc. Some additional fiction, and then some information regarding cover and terrain, which I will not go over too much because, as a recording, 11th edition is now live. So, pretty much just a rehash of the issue. So, build and paint is obviously for the Psychphage, as is the collect section. The read is a piece of fiction called Soul Feeder. I suspect it is still Tyranid themed. And from the play side, basics on cover and terrain, which, as I said, I won't spend too much time on, and the scenario for battle lines. How to build the Psychphage? Well, most of it's going to be built between two very large pieces. I'm not going to be building this anytime soon. One, because I don't plan to roll out my Tyranid army anytime soon. And two, I do have plans. But we'll see. Anyway, how to build. So pretty much the instructions on how to build the Psychphage. It's really not that difficult. It is still very much a case of snap fit. So despite its size, yeah, it's all snap fit assembly. It would be very interesting to see what a multi-part of that would have looked like, but to be honest, I think it's got enough things happening where it's okay as is, but that's my take. Granted, that's just a 3D render. What it looks like painted will be obviously different. Speaking of how to paint the Psychphage, starting with a base coat of Wraithbone on all that grey. And once that's done, it's pretty much going over with a few thinned coats of Baraknar Burgundy on the armor carapace. So there's a few steps there. Abaddon Black for, looks like the Scything Talons, so possibly a few coats there. So still a few steps for Abaddon Black. So what are we still doing here? Bits of armored vents and flexible ribbing. And then, oddly enough, there is a step for Macragge Blue, because there is bits of Space Marine there, which in this case has obviously been done as Ultramarines, thus the Macragge Blue. But there's some nice little text here that says, paint the Space Marine arm to match the rest of the Space Marines in your collection. Or just painted some other faction, like Imperial Fists. Just putting it out there. Undercoating, so we're still undercoating base coating. So Screamer Pink is now coming into play for all the mouth and tendrils, etc. coming out from that, which is very nice. Coax White on the smoke coming from spinal chimneys, as well as Wraithbone to start going through some of those teeth on the inner jaw. That'll be very interesting as an exercise to do. And then the work in progress for the Psychphage. I will admit, now that the arm has a bit of colour, that actually does look pretty cool. So there's obviously still a lot more work to do on the Psychphage, but that's definitely not a bad start with what paints have been made available. Soul Feeder, well, is it really surprising to see some Terminators, Tyranids and a Psychphage there? Not really, no. So that's the fiction piece. I'm not going to go reading it just because it'll be here forever. Plus I'm a bit dubious about reading stuff like that word for word in a video, just in case angers the machine god, for example. Psychphage data sheet. So there's the typical little random D6 generator there. Then a space for the unit name and the quote-unquote deeds of building, painting, and playing with Psychphage, followed by the final data sheet. I have no idea if that changed a lot between 10th and 11th edition. I haven't really looked too much into the Tyranids, mainly because I do want to do a bit of conversion work on them. Probably relatively minor, but yeah, we'll see how things go. Going to the play side of things, the basics of cover and terrain. I'm definitely not going to spend too much time on it because there has been some slight changes with 11th edition, and obviously a lot of combat patrol was centered around Leviathan, which I think was 10th, or the intro to 10th. But obviously there's some information regarding the benefits of cover, what doesn't get cover, and things like that. And then we have moving through terrain. I definitely know flying over terrain has changed, and L-shaped ruins aren't a thing, if I understood that right. I really don't like it when the issue does that. Scenario 11, battle lines. So just setting up a battle mission there. Tyranids get the first turn with a various array of units deployed there, with a even less array of marine units deployed. I don't see how they're supposed to win. Space Marines turn. Just going through that. I think it's what just the Terminator, Librarian, and either Intercessors or Infernus Marines. And then the usual Space Marine Tyranid victory conditions. Looks like it was the Infernus Marines that were there. Usual combat patrol splash page, and then on the back of the issue we'll have previews for 2 issues, 16 and 17. Issue 16, Mephisto in red and Squeak orange. The Mephisto in red will definitely be a nice welcome addition to the paint collection. In fact, actually, I take that back. It's a 3-issue preview. 17 and 18 will be yet another parts 1 and 2 for a full squad of, I think it's a full squad of Termagants? Yes, 10 Termagants and a Ripper Swarm. So yes, that's the next 3 issues, which conveniently enough will be the next 3 issues of this particular bundle. So yes, 1 issue of paint, 2 extra issues with models. So that was issue number 15. Now, what else did issue number 15 include? So issue number 15, I have to be a little bit gentle, included some of these little card features. So this one's obviously a bit of a terrain card. I'm just being a bit careful with them as to not accidentally tear them out from their perforated holder thing. There'll be some, what do we have here? So this looks like it will be stratagems, objectives, so obviously parts of the combat patrol for the Tyranids and I suspect the Marines. That's always nice to have. I'm sure that combat patrol turn breakdown is still pretty much the same regardless of edition changes. And then we'll have some data cards for the Psychphage, the Parasite of Mortrex, and a Chaplain on a bike. Psychphage obviously was in this particular issue. Parasite of Mortrex, I believe, will definitely be a future issue, I think, when we hit the 20s. And I know the Chaplain on a bike will be once we hit, well, not the 20s, but the high and teens, sorry. Which I think these two will actually start to wrap up both the combat patrols of the Marines and the Tyranids before we go into someone else. I think it's Eldari Chaos. Anyway, we get those. And then lastly, the important pieces. One very large base, which will obviously have some holes in it for snap fit. And then, of course, the actual sprue for the Psychphage. Yes, it's pretty much primarily of these 2 large pieces there. So obviously the inside's not going to have a lot of detailing. Good luck painting a lot of those small teeth when it comes to doing the actual maw. But yeah, detailing is definitely very nice. The only thing I'm not too sure about is whether the Psychphage has eyes. Hint, hint on what I would plan to do with the model, or in fact all the Tyranid models. But anyway, that is the included sprue. It's very nice to have that. Just try and randomly whack everything back in without destroying everything. Okay, so that pretty much brings us to the end of issue number 15 for Combat Patrol. Definitely progressively building up the two armies, pretty much to their peak. There's only a few more models left to collect before we move into 2 new Combat Patrols. Thank you very much for watching this unbagging and page through video. Feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. All of this does help support the channel. I do appreciate it. Extra content can also be found on my Instagram, as well as the YouTube community tab, which at this point in time is not 40k heavy, but I'll preface that with a yet. For the aforementioned 11th edition has come out. With that being said, stay safe, take care, and I'll catch you all in a future video, whether it's the weekly Imperium release, next week's Combat Patrol issue, or something else on the channel. See ya.